And this goes back to retail versus resale. So we ended up selling them for
Right, of
600
course.
bucks. We were gonna hold out for 500. We got 600 bucks for them. Took us 3 months.
Wow.
But sneakers take up almost no space in the house, and then when it's worth that much
Yeah.
money, I'll make space all day.
How much was the storage? That one storage? Such.
It's our cheapest one ever. We bought that one for 50 bucks.
Wow. $600.
Nice.
So that one.
Hey guys, welcome to the West Coast Initiative. I'm your host, Alex Castillo. Now, today's episode, we got my boy Carl Barnes, who's also the host of the One Man's Trash podcast, which focuses on buying storages and reselling them as well, or reselling what's inside the storages. It's kind of a cool podcast interview because I kind of got into reselling as well. We go to the swap meets every weekend. As you can tell, I have quite a bit of collections here now that I've picked up from throughout the years and now through the swap meet. So it's really cool because he also tells us insight on how to buy storages, where can you get into this kind of stuff. So it's a pretty long one. We didn't get into his other passion, which is nutrition. He also is a part of another podcast. We'll definitely save that episode for another one, but you guys are definitely gonna get a lot out of this one. So I hope you guys enjoy. So let the talk begin. Hey guys, welcome to the West Coast Initiative. I'm your host, Alex Castillo, and your host, Killer Matt. Hey Matt, how you doing today, man?
Man, I'm doing great, buddy. How about yourself?
I'm doing pretty good, dude. Missed you in the last episode, but I mean, I'm glad to have you back right here,
right? I know. I'm thank you so much for holding that down for me, man.
No, you're good,
I
man.
needed you that day, and you rocked it, man.
I did not. Hopefully, you go back to that episode, dude, because I got a lot out of that episode. I think it was a sucky situation that day because we lost our dear friend Von Drew.
Right.
We're still thinking about him, and prayers and
Most definitely.
Prayers out to his family, to be honest, and but it was a really good episode. That one. Anybody who hasn't listened to the episode is with Voltaire Lepe, the CEO of Tendwell real estate firm, and you guys definitely got to listen to that. It's a very inspiring story. But on today's episode, we got my boy Carl Barnes, host of the One Man's Trash podcast, U.S. military officer, entrepreneur as well. How you doing, Carl? How's everything?
I'm living the dream. Other coast. I feel like I'm betraying you guys by not being on the West Coast right now, but
Nah, man, you're good, dude. It's
still in the blood.
It's a COVID world, bro. So don't even worry about it. We're all in this shit together, right?
Yeah, dude. And
very true.
Like you said,
Happy
you
holidays.
used to live over here, dude. Back in your STSU days, and you were an Aztec, right?
Oh
yeah,
you're gonna be an Aztec till the day you die, baby. And so how's the COVID times for you, man? How's everything? How's the storage buying? How's the nutrition part of everything? Because I forgot to mention also, he's also a host of a nutritional podcast. What was that podcast called again?
So it's RD to B. So I work with a bunch of nutrition students, basically interviewing dietitians, giving their advice to other students before they join into the profession.
Wow. So this is like a pre kind of thing before you go into nutrition.
Yeah, like reflecting on all this shit I wish I had when I was a student and giving it for free to all of them, making sure that they've got the access and the resources.
Interesting. And how's the COVID times, man? How's it over there in the East Coast?
I feel like I got a different experience than most people. So I was in Korea up until July. So when everything kicked off.
Oh, you're watching that good baseball.
Yeah, well, the only baseball for a while.
Yeah, dude. No, I kid you not, bro. I would stay up till fucking midnight or whenever the fuck that KBL shit would come on, and I would watch it.
It was like Saturday, 11 a.m. for me. It was easy.
Oh yeah, you lucky bastard. That's awesome.
Wait, that was the only baseball that was going? That was the only game that was going on?
Yeah, dude.
For like a short period.
MLB, it felt like forever, right? But baseball was supposed to start here in March, like around my birthday. It's usually like March 28th, 27th. That didn't happen. And then, yeah, dude, it was like Korean Baseball League was lit on ESPN.
I didn't have TV, but like walking through the hospital when I was working, I'd see like ESPN would be on, and it would either be like 1980s, 1990s basketball reruns or like curling competitions, like some ridiculous stuff.
Or The Last
It
Dance.
was, dude,
The Last-
The Last Dance. Oh man, when that came out,
Everybody was happy that they were quarantined at that moment.
Oh man, I was like, thank God, dude.
Yeah, right.
That's
That was like
awesome.
probably the best thing that's happened during quarantine. But what were you doing in Korea? What was that for?
So speaking of Last Dance, that was my last dance on active duty with the military. So
Very
Oh, nice.
last summer was, well, this summer was my final year on my active duty contract. So I'd been out here in Maryland for a while.
Okay.
Like classic Army, was kind of I don't want to say promised, but informed that I'd be okay to ride out my last year here. Find out I'm the only one to head out to my last year in Korea. So I got a couple weeks notice. Pack your
Wow.
stuff, figure out how you're going to pay your mortgage, and head on out to Korea. So that was June to about July, August. So it ended up being a little more than a year because they couldn't get someone from the States to replace me till a little later.
Oh wow! And so
Man.
how was Korea? Like how was because I feel like, I mean, for being baseball open and where COVID, to be honest, kind of broke through was, in Asia. How is that like? I'm not,
Yep.
I don't want to be messed up,
No,
but
I got you.
I mean, it was a centerpiece. It was where it kind of all originated.
Yeah, so we had that little buffer. All we get is the air from China over there. So like the air quality is garbage.
I mean, that's where you get COVID, right?
But they have like their population densities. They have like, I don't know the percent. Someone can fact check this later, but it's like more than 3/4 of the population is concentrated in like 2 metropolitan areas. So you have like Seoul and then Daegu down in the south, because most of the country's mountains. So they had a massive outbreak in the south early on, and then naturally it popped up in Seoul. But we started having lockdowns before you guys were even like, oh, this China thing's a joke.
Yeah, exactly. Like they were having lockdowns, and we were still getting drinks.
Yeah,
I was saying,
because that was the source, like I said earlier. But no, yeah, I mean that must have been crazy over there, dude. Like,
it was interesting. I picked up rock climbing a couple years ago, and I realized there was a gym out there, so I had a membership. It was one of the few things I actually did to maintain.
You picked up rock climbing? No, wow.
Yeah, that was like a couple years ago down here in Maryland. So that was like trying to maintain some form of.
You didn't rock climb when you were in San Diego, right? Because I had a little stench.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, a little. Well, I was just doing indoor, to be honest. But like.
Oh, that's mostly Yeah,
I mean, I was like doing boulders and stuff like that. And just to the audience, the YouTube audience, I was a lot skinnier, of course, when I was doing that.
Hey, I'll have it be said, like, rock climbing blows my mind. Like, fitness level, body type, age does not discriminate. Like,
oh no, it doesn't matter.
It is a hell of a sport.
It's it's crazy because like rock climbing, it's like there's no, I don't know how to explain it because it's static, right? You're like holding up to one part and you're using muscles you never really used before, and you're going into like different angles, and it's funny because there's a misconception of rock climbing. A lot of people think it's upper body, and to be honest, it's actually more core and leg work.
I'd imagine, definitely.
Yeah, I believe actually it was. I'm gonna call out somebody, but I'm gonna call out somebody. But I'm pretty sure it was Beto. He thought me and him, because he at that time he was like big into weightlifting and stuff like that. Yeah. This dude, he wanted to climb just with his whole body, no legs or anything. He thought he could just like go up there, and he found out real quick that it ain't about that. It's about using your whole body, your whole foundation. To be honest, it's a cool sport, dude. You really find yourself a lot in that.
That's a misconception as a soccer player. You're like, oh, it should be your advantage because you already go with your legs, but you're going into it with that bias. Oh, it's got to be upper body. So the first like couple months, I'm like, why do my forearms die after the first one?
Dude, okay, so I was gonna say this. So I had a substitute teacher in 5th grade. I don't know why this sticks out to me, but he was like an avid rock climber, and I remember the thing that sticks out to me most about him were his forearms.
Oh, that's probably like the bouldering people.
Forearms.
Yeah, Alex probably knows more about that.
Yeah, dude, because
like his forearms were like weird, dude. And I was like,
well, you should know about that too, because I feel like even rock climbing, because you still have to get creases in there in your forearms.
Oh, I'm a garbage ass rock climber, so I don't.
Well, I mean, like for people who are listening, there's like different difficulty levels, you know, to
Of course.
especially to indoor. Like there's like, I remember there was like V0, V1s, and like it goes on the higher the number, the more difficulty it is.
Yeah.
And then and indoor, you have to follow the colors, right? You have to follow the same
Right.
colors a lot of times, because some people just like try to use any type of color. But basically, that's kind of like a cheating way. You're actually supposed to use.
I did not know that.
Yeah, you're actually supposed to.
Korea, it was a dude with a stick just hitting a hold for me. He's like this because there was a language barrier, so he just has a stick and was like pointing to a hold for me. But I learned really well like that, so that was the best for me.
Dude, one of the. I know we're getting on a rant on rock climbing, not even on that subject or anything like that. But I remember one time, dude, I was indoor rock climbing, and I was trying to see if my wife in here, but I was on a little date, and I was climbing, and she was actually what's called belay. She was belaying me, but she kind of didn't know how to belay. So when she was letting me down, I almost like she like fucking let me go. Like she like didn't even hold the brakes on me. I was like falling down. I thought I was gonna die.
Oh god.
The instructor was like, "No, let it go," and then she let go, and then I was saved, you know, from that instructor. But yeah, dude, it's a fun time. It's been a long time since I've been rock climbing, but it's a really fun sport, to be honest.
Yeah, maybe everybody should try to get into it after COVID. But
there we go.
Shit's tragic.
Hey,
I'll save us from the.
It's an outdoor sport. Maybe you can go out.
It's true.
It's an outdoor sport too.
It's too cold.
Yosemite or some shit.
True that. But
I'll save us from that tangent. I don't know why the hell I brought it up, but when COVID first broke out, where we were at on the base, there was a couple gyms around, and one of the first outbreaks was at a rock climbing gym. So my boss came in one day, and I hadn't heard it. My boss is like, "What's the name of your rock climbing gym?" And I was like, "Why?" And I told her the name of it, and she's like, "Okay, good." And then I looked it up, and it was the one I didn't climb at had like 2 or 3 infections, and they traced it all. Wow. So. Look,
there you have it,
service
folks.
numbers.
Yeah.
No rock climbing.
I'm gonna put some rock climbing people out of business.
That's crazy, dude.
Not at all.
You're going up to each one. There's COVID in each step. That's crazy. But anyways,
hand sanitizer on each one.
Yeah, dude.
It's
hand sanitizer and go rock climbing.
The chalk. Right. But anyways, let's go on your backstory. I know,
real business.
Real business. Let's go back to your. Let's go back a little bit on your backstory, dude, because you and me met honestly at a toy store, working together at Geppetto's toy store here in Fashion Valley. Shout out to them, not gonna lie. I learned quite a bit from them from a small business perspective, to be honest. How a small business is run and whatnot. But when I met you and you started working there, you already had like an entrepreneur mindset at that moment, right? Because people who don't know, I think you were selling bracelets at the time.
It was mostly necklaces and stuff.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and so and we'll get to that. How did you go into where was that mindset from? The entrepreneur mindset, like from a young age. Like, where did you come from? How did you get into the military? Like, what's that backstory?
The entrepreneur is 100% my dad. He's born and bred, self-made, started his own business, and I think it was just 2 decades of trying to emulate that. So eventually, once I found something I could actually get some momentum, something I was decent at, could actually figure out what to do, and just ran with it. And I think 10, 15 years later, I'm still trying to do that tenfold over and find a new niche.
And then what about so where are you from? Like, because you're
okay, so
it's you, but you're not from San Diego.
Yeah, so I'm from up north, just outside the Bay Area, Vacaville. Parents, I thank them as much as I can. They were living in Oakland when I was born. They moved out within a couple years.
I used to live in Oakland. Ain't nothing wrong in Oakland.
Oh, really? Okay.
Oh, really? You used to live in Oakland? I didn't know that.
Back like 2000, 2001. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Apparently, the neighborhood is fantastic now. I don't know what it was back then.
Yeah, it's all gentrified.
Right.
Yeah.
It wasn't
Carl,
when I was there.
I think when Carl's family went in there, it started getting gentrified.
Right. I looked up the property value because I found the address somewhere, and I think my dad had sold it. This is like early 90s for like 200 grand, and I found it's like 800,000 now. And I sent it to. I knew it would piss him off, but I was like, how depressing is this to look back on? That it's like almost $1 million house.
Shout out to the Bay Area, though.
You know, you grew up there. What led you to go into the U.S. military route? Where did that come from? Was it from high school, young or younger than that? Like where, or was it even your dad too as well?
No, not from him. I can't really even say family. I don't really have much family in the military. I think I had grandparents that were like drafted and did the World War II stuff, but not family.
The World War II stuff.
Yeah. Passive roles. I don't want to call it brainwashing. That's the wrong. I'm gonna get myself in trouble for that. But that like as you're raised, that selfless service kind of thing. So out of high school, I knew I wanted to do something along those lines, kind of that as you told, giving back and all that. So serving the greater good. Talked to recruiters out of high school. So I think I was already accepted into college at the time, and they were like, "Oh, just take a pause on college. It'll still be there. Go to boot camp, get that shit done, and then you can always go back to college." The approach was terrible, and like they could have sold me if they had approached it differently, but the way they approached it was a hardcore right off college, and I was dead set on a career already, so that turned me off. Showed up to San Diego State. I think the first semester I was down there, the ROTC program was. I did not graduate ROTC. I got to put that in the front.
Okay.
They were down there tabling, and so.
Sorry, you have to graduate from ROTC
to become an officer through them.
Officer,
yeah.
Do that. Yeah.
Oh,
I ended up going a different route. So like I went up to them because I didn't even know there was military on college campuses. I was like, what the hell is this? And they're like, yeah, we have cadets who are students here, but have this like classes in military history and then do this other stuff. And then they kind of told me, but there's also this reserve option, which is this thing where you're part-time in the military. Because I'd only known as active duty, where you're 24/7 a soldier. So long story short, I kind of did the RTC thing for a year or two, which was no obligation. So it was kind of being a fake soldier, attending classes, doing the stuff, but with no contract. And then ended up going to boot camp. I enlisted, went to boot camp, but enlisted in the reserves. So joined as a private, went to boot camp, went to job training, food inspect. My whole life is food. So I think around the same time Alex and I met, I was like part-time lunch lady at the same time.
I think,
So did food inspection, and then did that for the 4 years 5 years while I was in college at San Diego. And then I became an officer through different routes. They have education program. My profession, so I'm a registered dietitian. They have a feeder program for RDs, which is a master's program. So you commission as an officer if you get accepted, and then you go right in through a master's producing program.
Oh, wow.
Okay.
That's really cool.
From freshman year, I threw all my eggs in that basket, and it paid off.
Definitely.
Thank God. Yeah.
Not gonna
win, brother.
No, that's good, dude. Because nutrition is a really huge thing now, right? It's kind of become more actually of a trend. I feel like,
for better or worse.
Yeah, and so
for better or for worse,
on the side of the military part, how did the nutrition part come? Like, was that at a young age too? Did you always think nutrition was always important, or was nutrition just a thing that like I needed a career, nutrition?
Really early. I think one of the common trends, I'm really good at just kind of picking something, being like, all right, I'm going to make this work, and then figure it out as I go. So I still don't know. I should figure this out, but somewhere around like maybe 10 or 11, getting ready for elementary school, middle school, whatever, sitting at the table, eating a bowl of cereal before school, looking at the side of the cereal box and the nutrition facts panel on the side. I'd always as a kid, I liked math. I did terrible in like the upper, we call it calculus and all that. So like
Mhm.
regular math I love, but not the theoretical
Yeah.
stuff.
Not
I'm
the,
sure
yeah,
it's
not the
practical.
crazy shit. Not the differential equations and shit like
Yeah,
that.
I'll miss all of
Yeah,
those.
I'm cool off that. Yeah, no.
So the math on it, but then kind of realizing that that's connected to health and wellness and the food interacting with your body was kind of this, I don't want to call it mind fuck, but it's like eye-opening thing of like there's something very interesting and intriguing here. And I
Yeah.
had no idea what a
Wow.
dietitian was. That came way later.
Well, way later, yeah.
I mean,
Wow. So I mean, like, were you like some like weird kid, like health nut?
I
I
ate
mean, is that like
McDonald's as a
that's
kid.
not like a weird thing.
Ungodly amount of
I don't know.
McDonald's.
That's like a bad thing to say. Okay, but like,
Hot
were you
dogs,
like
Coke, and McDonald's, I think is what I grew up on.
okay?
well,
Okay.
what is your
All right,
life?
so
What is your diet now? Like, do you actually look at your diet now?
To an extent. So it's obviously I have training and knowledge in it. I do not consider myself a health nut by most people's standards. I'm not weighing out my meals. My
yeah, right.
personal goals are not one of a bodybuilder or a vegan or any of the, I don't even want to call them extremes, but any of the chosen lifestyles that are very
Right.
heavy into that.
Mm-hmm.
But I'd like to say I practice a balanced lifestyle to an extent, but everyone's got their vices and hypocritical moments.
So
Yeah.
now onto the entrepreneurial part. You know, what was your first venture into entrepreneurial? Because was it the necklace part, or was it something before that?
That's a good question. I had a
See,
couple.
now I had a thought when you were saying about your dad being like the not the catalyst, but like the inspiration to
Yeah.
your entrepreneurial spirit, rather, right? Yeah, I kind of picture you as like that kid in like elementary school, like selling candy.
So
You know,
that would
I
have been
mean,
my
like,
time to shine, right?
right? That's what I mean. That's like where I mean, I envisioned you there, just like grinding it out.
Actually, I did have one in elementary, so it was like a fourth grade class or something. We had
Okay.
I don't know how I remember this. So we had a teacher who had like, I swear it had to have been a mental breakdown, but none of us knew what the hell happened. So like first week of school, the teacher quit and we had no
No way.
teacher. So we had like a rotation of like temporary 1 week teachers.
Oh
And then
wow.
they finally found a permanent one, but they're like rewards. I'm not a psychologist, but the reward system was so fucked. It was like to keep the class quiet. They created a currency system in the classroom. So it was
Yeah.
like the school mascot was a bear. So it was bear bucks. And it was like, oh, you got a good grade. Here's a bear buck, or you shut the fuck up. Here's a bear buck. So I hustled those. So like I was selling pencils to other students and
Yeah.
erasers because
Shut up.
at the
For
at
bear
the end
bucks?
at the end of the month, all the students could bring shit in, and it was a this is bad in elementary. It was an auction, so they could bring in like a toy that they didn't want, and then
Oh,
it was an auction, and whoever had the most cash could get it.
from bear bucks or from
Yeah.
like
So I was
actual?
like,
From
no,
Bear
from
Bucks.
Bear
Wow.
Bucks. So I was like, until this auction happens, I'm just gonna take all the fucking money,
Of
and then
course.
nobody's paying attention to
You just
what they actually want.
you're
I mean,
already
because that's
compounding.
because when Alex asked that question, that's like where my mind went. You know what I mean? Like, you know, of course, like people could think like, oh, well, you know, well, yeah, when your mind's like fully developed and you're an adult and you're in a college educated adult, and I start thinking these ideas and this and that, blah 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 blah. But like my mind went to like, yeah, like you being a kid, like when did it like really first start? You know what I mean? Like, you know, like and maybe
That's,
I don't know. I'm not a psychologist, like you said, but like maybe that was the start of it. You know, who knows?
Yeah, it sounds like it was, dude. Shit, hustling bear bucks, you weren't even hustling money.
That's what I'm saying.
You were
I'm still not hustling money.
but
Oh,
uh but anyways, I mean that's kind of cool. That's a kind of cool story to be like, yeah, hustle some kids so you know.
That's actually, I'm glad you
Monopoly
asked that.
money. Yeah.
Because when because I read a bunch of these entrepreneur books and business books and stuff like that, and that I get my kicks on
Mhm.
that kind of stuff. And there's plenty with anything, there's that nature nurture
Mhm.
argument. So trying to identify that balance
Of
within
course.
myself, I keep coming back to that, and I'm like, that's the earliest action that I can think of that kind of brought out the hustle, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
mean
See, good piggyback off yours, right? Alex?
So where was your next venture?
I knew I was right to ask that one. Yeah.
So I probably had half a dozen little quick attempts at things, and I would, if I really reflect back, most of them failed for lack of my own effort. Some of it could obviously, I'm very self-deprecating. I usually only do that in environments where I know someone else. So like Alex and I go way back. I'm
Yeah.
extremely confident. I love what I've done. But the way I thrive is critique. So
Okay.
inward, my mental commentary is always, it's not ripping myself down, but it's always criticizing to better myself.
Okay.
So in close circles, I express that outwardly.
Yeah.
With people that don't
Yeah.
know me, they're like, what the fuck's wrong with this guy? Like, why is he so negative all the time? So I got to work on that sensor a lot, and that's been tough.
No,
But
I mean, but honestly, I think it's awesome that you express that, because I think that's something, I don't know, that's something I've noticed. A lot of people do that. You know what I mean? And a lot of people have like express like similar things like lately. You know, like I know I do the same thing. You know, I can be like, sometimes I feel like I can be my own worst enemy in a weird way. Kind of
and that's, it can
sometimes.
be dangerous.
Yeah, no, it definitely can be. You know, that's why it definitely helps to have like surround yourself with like awesome people.
Definitely.
You know, like it just, you know, just a good support system.
You know,
I just wanted to say that.
and to be honest, it's not even so like even on the other days with Lepe, Walter Lepe, we were talking about you just didn't have to be, of course, surrounding yourself with around people is good, but even like just picking up a book, you know, learning from a
Yeah,
mentor that
being
you
comfortable.
never,
Yeah.
you know, never, because those are written texts that you've never, and people will get a lot out of it. You know what I'm saying? It could be from an old textbook to a new textbook, you know, kind of like what you said. Um, it's a mentorship within its own, and you kind of think about it as like, as long as you surround yourself not just with good people, but with like the resources in a way
Right.
of like
That's true.
of
Very
to try,
true.
like for instance, I was just telling him, I just got masterclass, you know, and you know, that's an investment into myself. Actually, my mom got it for me for Christmas because she was like, what do you want for Christmas? You know, she actually was asking me if I wanted a desk chair, you know, because you know, I have an old raggedy desk chair that my dad used to have. And I was like, you know what? I can buy a desk chair later on, actually, from like OfferUp or anything like that, you know, and
Pick
get
it
it.
up at the swap meet.
Yeah, pick it up at the swap meet. You know, I'm fine. I'm looking. I was keeping my eye out. You know, people who anybody who's been listening to the show, you guys know that I've been selling that, hustling at the swap meet. Side hustle. That's my side hustle. You know, and but anyways, I asked for the master class for an investment in myself, right?
Yeah.
So I can learn from like different, like for instance, I've been listening to Robert Igor, the CEO of Disney, you know, and how his take on leadership, strategy, you know, and I be writing everything down, you know, in a way, I'm kind of even surrounding myself with even that kind of stuff instead of watching like a Netflix show, you know, binge watching something on Showtime that might be fictional. You know, don't get me wrong, it's not, nothing's wrong with that. You know, it's fun. It's fun to see those type of shows, but I feel like if you're not, like, especially right now in the COVID times, when you're not really surrounded by people, you should surround yourself with a lot more knowledge and a lot more, you know, growth within you. I think that's different ventures that people should also consider as well. Even if you think, so a lot of people will complain, oh, I hang around with a lot of negative people, you know, and it's like, well, what are you changing about it? Like, why aren't you putting the effort, you know? Like, you know, one thing that irks me that I was actually thinking about this last few weeks, dude, is the people that are like, I'm not a people person, you know,
Yeah, you hear
that
it a lot.
I hear that a lot,
Yeah.
and a lot of times the people who say that I'm not a people person, it's actually themselves who are the problem. You know what I'm saying? Because they're the ones who are
Very
actually
true.
like putting that
Little do
negative
they know.
energy out. You know, and I am a true believer. Whatever energy you pull out, you bring in, and I don't want to sound cocky or anything like that, but I believe that I have kind of like in myself perspective, like from the when started this podcast, you know, like all the people, all the guests that we've had, you know, like surrounding myself with all those interviews and with Matt, you know, talking to different types of stories, different outlets. It's just like like it's so cool being inspired by these people, you know, and it's so cool to have these interviews.
Right.
And it's kind of like that's why I kind of want to have 2 interviews a week, because the more I surround myself with these people, the more I drive I have for myself. You know what I'm saying? Like, for
Right.
instance, like these last few ones, you know, it's just like Voltaire Lepe, Drizzle D, Tyler Harmon, Ari Jackson. Like, these were like
Barnes.
within it. So Carl Barnes, Carl Barnes. No, what I'm referring to is like within each one episode, it's a milestone. Like, for instance, like I was talking to you, Carl, earlier before the episode. Yesterday was, well, the day before yesterday was my first time interviewing a millionaire, you know, and I didn't even notice that I was talking to a millionaire until the middle of the conversation, you know, and I'm like, damn, I just reached the milestone. It's like, you know, now I'm actually pushing myself forward to ask the right questions. You know, when I got Tyler Hartman, who was, I'm not gonna lie, I was starstruck by it because I'm a big follower of a San Diego Dynasty professional paintball team. I pushed myself even further to ask the right questions, you know.
That's like decades in the making for you too, right?
Yeah, dude. And it's just like, holy shit, like, dude, like I never would think in a million years that I would be interviewing these type of people. You know what I'm saying? Ari Jackson from BuzzFeed, and even Lena, like so many people that stories, it's inspiring. Willie Wings is coming up. You know what I'm saying? It's just like we're surrounding ourselves each week on those levels, and like be able to bring those stories out and share them is really cool. You know, there's different ways. You don't have to start a podcast, you know, you don't, but there's different ways of surrounding yourself. You know, it doesn't have to be with people that you don't like. It could be books, like stay at home, read a book. Nelson Mandela, dude, like that would be a great story to listen to or hear about. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Listen to a podcast, listen to an Audible. That's my little rant of it, you know, because it irks me a little bit when people say I'm not a people person. You know, people are nasty or anything like that. Dude, like people are cool actually in reality to me. You know, in a lot of ways. You know, it's just that you have to change that mindset around. You know.
Right.
Well, you're spot on too. You make that point of, and I'm huge on this. It's not to diminish the people or the things, but it's the cheap and easy is sometimes the most valuable, right? Yeah. So all of those things you said, you're putting this out for people to listen to. So like obviously it's slightly less cheap and slightly less easy for you to coordinate and do all of that. But for the listener, they can access that information. You can read that book. You can download ebooks for next to nothing. You can go to the thrift store and get that book for a penny. You can get it, and it's that valuable stuff is not really that much of a barrier.
Mm-hmm.
Right. No, definitely. I think that's well put by both of you guys. You know what I mean? And you know, Alex, that's kind of like what we, you know, strive for our listeners to really get, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it's these are the kinds of things, and that's why we really appreciate that feedback, Carl. You know, these are definitely the kinds of things that we're trying to like spread. You know what I mean? And it's like, and I just love that we can continue to do that. You know what I mean? Like one episode at a time, one person at a time. So,
yeah.
Not that we're done or anything, but just thank you, Carl, for your input, man. I just really appreciate your input, and just appreciate you just being like just really forthcoming. You know what I mean? Just and honest. You know what I mean? That's awesome. And I think a lot of people can use a lot of that right now. Honestly,
that's true. Yeah.
Yeah, dude. Because you know it sucks in the situations, and you know I can't speak for everybody. There's people who are closing businesses down, unfortunately, and sometimes they kind of have to. You know, it's kind of like what Voltaire said. Maybe I do have to show my business, but I'm saving money. You know what I'm saying? Right. Maybe I don't have to do this at this moment. Maybe it's kind of like we said also too, adapt or die. You know, like if you don't adapt, you know, you're definitely going down. You know, it's kind of like a stock market. If Blockbuster, you know, Blockbuster stopped renovating, you know, they stopped, you know, they got beat out. Honestly, it was one of the biggest chains at one point, and it was, I think it was probably in the SP 500, right? I'm assuming, and at one point, right? And you know,
I assume it was publicly traded at the time.
Yeah, you know, and now it's down to one, and it's just crazy. Like, to big companies too, you know, if they don't adapt to the times. Pagers, who's using a pager now? You know, like, you know, and
Maybe. I don't know.
I don't know about to say it. Too early, I don't even know. Like probably stick to iPhone now. iPhone or Androids,
Sure.
and it's crazy times now that we're living. But
That's
yeah, dude.
that's that's been the biggest struggle. So since I got back. Obviously, everyone here was well in the middle of COVID and adjustments to reality. I've
Right.
been planning for a year to. I can't even call it quit my. I joke with friends. I quit my job. I got
Yeah.
off active duty and did not get a job like most people end up doing. So to me, that's the same as quitting a corporate job and walking away. That
Hmm.
was a year in the
Yeah.
making, and my sheer luck is everyone, not everyone, but a lot of fortunate people are now getting paid to work from home.
Yeah.
And so
Yeah.
I make this bold, giant jump in my life to walk away from a guaranteed paycheck and live off of savings to launch a couple opportunities when
Right.
I very likely could have stepped into a position that probably afforded me a similar amount.
Yeah.
But
Right.
it's again, it's making the most of it. I still double down on it was the right decision. It's what I want, and I'm going hard on it. But obviously, it's a little bit of a challenge on the face
So, I mean,
value of
was
it.
that, I mean, obviously, I mean, how hard was that though to do, to walk away from something so guaranteed, you know what I mean? To something uncertain, you know what I mean? As a young man in the United States of America, which ain't cheap, I don't care where you live, it's hard for a lot of people to make a living here, so to walk away from something so certain like U.S. government, to
Yep.
something uncertain. Talk a little bit about that.
It's a lot of planning, a lot of good fortune leading up to it, and a lot of
Okay.
intentional planning practice, whatever you want to call it. So
Wow. Okay.
obviously plenty of fortune leading up to it, throwing all my eggs into, I literally threw my career hopes into graduating college. Obviously I had backup plans, but they were not nearly as immediate or big as getting into
Right.
the grad program. So that was a huge fortune. And obviously it was matched with work and effort I put in, but
Hmm.
not all of that always correlates to results. Um, that then meant I walked out of an undergrad degree with some debt, but very little that I was able to pay off because I walked into a grad program that I was getting a
Right.
paycheck. All my peers and all my friends were going deeper and deeper into debt, which I would not have gotten a master's degree if I didn't get into that program because
Right.
the money was not there.
Wow.
So to literally, while everyone else is going this way, to be going this way
Yeah, that
was,
means something.
yeah. And to
So
see it
that
so
means the world.
drastically,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I bet,
um,
dude.
getting a house before friends are even out of student loan debt was probably the most, I don't even want to, like, inspiring, motivating, like personal. It was one of the biggest personal accomplishments, and hopefully not the,
Definitely.
but so far.
I
So
mean,
kind of
shit.
things like that were my fortune of grinding and putting the right things in place and getting some
Right.
luck and
Yeah.
and stuff along the way, and then making sure I'm not doing something stupid. And it's still it's a
Right.
calculated risk.
Of
I'm
course.
not, Alex probably knows enough. I'm not the most ballsy person. Like I'm pretty calculated.
Yeah.
I've grown in confidence for sure. I used to be a very passive person, but it took a lot of calculation, and I'm checking back every 2 weeks. I've been freaking out internally, not like panic attack freaking
Mm-hmm.
out, but the freaking out that helps motivate me for the last
Yeah.
couple months of I'm not where I want to be, and I need to step it up if I
Right.
want this to continue.
Hmm.
Wow, man. I mean, that's awesome. Like, just that drive, you know what I mean? And the calculation. Um,
I
cause
got
like,
1,500 spreadsheets open right behind this
And don't
window.
get me wrong, like as an entrepreneur, yeah, entrepreneurs take risks, but they take, like you said, calculated risks. They don't take any dumb risks. They take the least type of risk that they can is the best way, right? And that's, it's not about like, oh, I'm dropping all this money down. Da, 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 da. No, like play it out, maybe strategize it a little bit. But I do want to talk about a little bit about actually the first bracelets that you have done, or was that actually the first thing you've done?
It was kind of two at the same time. So, and again, this comes back to um, the fortune using my resource, whatever you call it. So one of the first ones I caught traction with was my dad's business up in Northern California. So it's a metal shop, not like you think of like a industrial metal shop, but it's precision chemical etching. So he takes sheet metal and he can precisely etch it down to, it's like a millionth of an inch or something. So it's mechanical parts. Wow. He's had parts on like the Mars rover, but there's also cosmetic pieces. So it's like model buildings before before they build a massive like 80-story thing. But he's the subcontractor to the subcontractor to the subcontractor. So there's no hype in it whatsoever, but it's always cool to see like, hey, he's attached to this, and like something of such prestige to even have a part in. So I was able to kind of think in the mindset of what can I leverage, knowing that he has these resources and I'm aware of this industry, and I'm by no means an expert. I still don't know how the hell he does all these incredible things, but kind of leverage that and became he had a lot of jewelry customers. And I was like, okay, somehow it's cost effective to make jewelry with your technique. What can I make? And came up with a couple designs. And then was able to find some parts from China, find some parts from Austria. I put some Swarovski crystals on it, piece them together, throw it up on Etsy, taught myself what the hell Etsy was, put it on eBay, which I had been doing, and then found a little traction over time and realized there's something there.
So you started selling that. I remember you started selling that product at
the store.
At the store. And for listeners, maybe people who have a product, but they don't know how to approach a seller, because to be honest, a lot of times, like, with like, let's say, for example, the toy store, how do you approach a deal with the manager, with the owner, or even how do you get the packaging to get it right? Like, how can people pursue the packaging of such things? Can you explain all that?
I got none of those answers. So that one's actually, I'm glad you brought that up, because I forget about that sometimes and kind of click back. That's like one of my greatest accomplishments and failures at the same time. So it's this like double hype for me of, I had been doing jewelry. Most of it was awareness ribbon. So I was pairing it with causes, donating a portion to those causes. So it was, and it's always this tough, it's an ethical thing too, right? So it's a selfish, selfless, it's something somebody wants. So there's value there. So I can sleep at night. But the donation piece was a big piece for me. But the ones you're talking about, Alex, I was like, all right, I'm going to try and jump on a trend. Instead of doing something that's unique and original, I was doing like texting lingo. So like,
I remember that.
Was it LOL, LMAO, TTY? I don't even know what the YOLO. This
is back then. This is
Actually, I'm pretty sure it was way past YOLO even being relevant. So, but so I had sold like they weren't catching much traction, but they were still like onesie twosie, like maybe sell one a week online as I was doing them, and I had a couple hundred of each because I sunk maybe $2,000 or $1,000 into making them, because there's such thing as minimum orders, and that's part of making a product. And I'm not huge in manufacturing, but when it comes to manufacturing, there's minimum orders and minimum quantities. So you really have to figure out your setup costs. And so I had a bunch, and I'd love to hear somebody else's perspective. Maybe I was annoying as hell at work, mentioning the stuff I do outside of work or something like that. But I must have caught Brian's, I got it in me. I was like, hey, I'm going to see if Brian, right? Yeah,
Brian.
I owe him a lot for a lot of.
Yeah, shout out to Brian. He gave me a job.
Right, same here.
He gave you a really good opportunity, dude. He got you to first showcase your necklaces at the store. You know what I'm saying? That's a big thing, honestly. That's a really big thing to for someone to be like, wow, like let me go and put a little bit of faith in you and sell these necklaces at my store.
So at some point I got it in my head and I was like, hey, I'm gonna catch his ear and I'm gonna ask him if this is something he'll trial. And that was kind of I thought it enough and kind of coached myself. I was like, I'm not gonna go with this fucking home run pitch, because God knows I can't pitch, and this was a much more passive version of me.
Yeah.
And and I was
I feel like Carl would be like, if you want to, maybe.
Right. That's probably exactly how I said it. I was like, well, please don't feel obligated. But I even and this might be my one feedback is don't sell yourself short. Maybe swing wider, be ready to undercut yourself and negotiate, but sell what you're trying to sell. So I sold a trial, and he actually like this, and this is a dude who had 7 locations, probably 150, mostly part-time staff, knew everyone on a first name basis, whether you worked 5 hours a week or 40 hours. That tells me a lot about your personality out the gate. And I loved it for that reason. That should have told me the answer was going to be yes, unless I was asking for a ridiculous question. Mm-hmm. So it was basically almost no risk on him. That was how I was like, he can't say no. Like I'm sitting on these anyways, put these out. If they don't sell, I'll buy them back. You only bill me for whatever sells. So it was a good trial. Probably sold like less than 10 in a month, and he was going to put them on. Actually, he was going to put them on clearance. I said, "Don't even do that. Please just get rid of them." The experiment's done.
But I mean, if you don't try, right?
Yeah, that's awesome.
Right.
You don't try, you don't know.
And the package. So when I sell online, I don't package, I don't brand, I don't do any of that. I'm relying on the uniqueness of the product to sell itself. Which is not always the right answer. It's just not something I have interest or expertise in, nor something that I'm at a place where I want to pay someone for their expertise. Mm. So putting it into retail packaging was something that I had never tried. So I went on whatever those websites where you make like free business cards and pay $4 for shipping. Went on there, designed a relatively cheap foldable card, clipped it 2 staples onto a plastic bag, and tried to make it somewhat desirable, and bought a $20 rack to hook it on.
Oh wow,
nice.
That was probably like 400 hours of internet research of like retail packaging and point of sale.
Yeah. Hey, displays. But you did it, dude. I mean, there's some people that will say that they'll do it, and they'll be like, hold it off,
I drove up to LA to pick up. It was in Anaheim, actually. I drove up to Anaheim to pick up those like acrylic displays because that was the closest place I could find.
Yeah, I know. Wow, dude. That's before OfferUp and any of that kind of stuff was.
God, I should have used it.
I know. You should have made that. That's what you should say.
I know, dude. Applications is where it's at.
I wish, right?
That'd be kind of cool. Get a coder in here. But you did, dabble into other stuff. Like for instance, I still have actually the American flag bullet casing.
Oh hell yeah!
Yeah, I still have that actually, and a lot of
people.
I
remember that.
A lot of people still, a lot of people still compliment on it. Like, who made that? Like, that was actually really cool. And I always hype you up, my boy Carl. He's the one. I didn't. To be honest, I don't know if he still make them. So I didn't know if I didn't.
That's one of my longest running uninterrupted products.
Oh wow, that's dope.
Yeah.
Have they gotten bigger?
Really?
Because I'm not gonna lie, it is small.
Oh yeah, that's what blew my mind. I actually again undersold myself. So I say interrupted, but continuously made and sold to some degree. How
did that work? How did they get that idea?
Oh boy, so
for the listeners, sorry guys, the product that I'm talking about, Carl had.
I think I don't have one down here. I got the coaster. The coasters are right here.
Oh, there we go. And if you're just listening to this, Carl had these empty bullet casings, and then he formed them into the shape of the American flag, pasted them on, I don't know if you super glued them or I don't know how you did it.
It's an industrial. I look like I'm cooking mess when I make these things. The neighbors judge.
I know, right? Bald-headed guy.
Yeah, right. I'm like this I was wearing masks before it was cool.
Real Breaking Bad.
I know, right? You're really just making the American flag and just bullet casings.
But actually, when I moved in the house, I had to make the first week I was making them. I was like, I really don't want to make a bad name for myself in this neighborhood. So as soon as a neighbor walked outside, I like dropped the mask and was like, I want to tell you what I'm doing. As
Like a
awkward
mobile
as
man.
this is, I need you to know that I'm not doing anything weird.
Oh my God! I need you to
Well,
know.
weird, but not that weird.
Hey, no, hey,
I mean,
you're a better man for it. It's all right.
but those are really cool designs. You know, like I said, I still have it. You know, I to be honest, I thought it was gonna be one of the many things that Patty told me to throw away before she moved in, but now that hasn't. She actually likes it a lot. And just jokingly, you know, she hasn't made me throw it away much. But I mean, that's a really cool idea. How did he get to that idea? How did what was that creativity from?
That one was pretty quick, and again, luck. So I've been all over the place. So I was in Texas. Actually, I was living in Seattle at the time. Flew to Texas. Was seeing someone living out there. So
Seahawks suck.
what was
By the
that?
way.
Seahawks? Oh, I don't care.
I said Seahawks.
I'm a
suck.
fake. I'm a fake
Seahawks
Raiders fan. So
I'm a Seahawks fan. Oh, okay. I'm a Chiefs
You're a Raider
but
fan? I would never see that.
technically, by like locality,
Uh,
I've just doubled
Yeah.
down on it this whole time.
Graphically, yes. Like,
Yeah.
oh, they're in Vegas now,
But,
buddy.
sorry, continue.
Like football's my least favorite sport.
I had to.
You have to throw that out
Oh,
there, Matt.
I have one
I mean,
Sounders
I-
jacket,
I-
so
What's up?
I got one Seattle Sounders jacket.
Oh, Seattle Sounders. They're a big MLS team, dude. I'm not gonna lie. They're one of the top MLS
Very
teams to
big.
win all the time.
I don't know if Matt hates on them as much as the Seahawks. They play in the same stadium.
The same colors too.
Oh, shit.
They really are the
I
same.
got funky feelings about Seattle. I got funky feelings
Okay.
about Seattle. Really.
Oh, I do too. Yeah. So,
So, anyways,
There you go. My man.
so how'd you?
I was up there for about a year. Flew back to go see the person I was seeing at the time, and believe this or not, Texas has wine country. So we're like Airbnb in Texas wine country.
Huge wine country.
And one of the things other than wineries out there, we went to like an art museum, like, you know, like go to Old Town, any kind of city, and you just kind of walk through the stores. So walking through, and I see, God, this is gonna sound like I ripped something off, but I see. Actually, I got the closest thing I made to it here. I'll show you in a second. So I keep it in the bar here. It was basically, so picture 9mm bullet casings, but standing with the stamp side facing up, but just all of them facing, just that's all you see stacked, and it's in kind of like a shadow box size thing. And someone had just painted it into the Lone Star kind of Texas flag colors, and it had like a $150 price tag on it. But I was like, that's really cool to kind of cross that Second Amendment gun enthusiast, but also the upcycling kind of recycling side of things. But then the entrepreneurial business side of me was like, I don't understand art whatsoever. That says $150. I could probably mass produce something for a third of the price and sell thousands. So I went home and tinkered, but so that was just kind of a square shape. So I went home and played, and I was like, oh shit, if I set them on their sides, I can actually go to look like a real flag. And then when I played it out, the actual ratio was almost identical to an actual flag measurements, and I could fit 50 stars. So the stars are sitting lengthways, facing
facing up,
tall, whatever, and the other ones are on their side.
This all with 9mm.
Those ones are all 9mm. Yeah, I've made one with 223, which is sitting in my workshop behind this wall.
Nice.
Can we see it?
Yeah, you want to cut this? I'll go sprint real quick.
Yeah, I'll cut it. Yeah, well, I'll cut it very quick.
Yeah, dude, that's fucking awesome.
I'm not gonna lie, I expected a piece to pop off because I haven't touched this thing in like 4 years. All right.
Oh
So
wow,
that's the 223 one, which is gonna put Alex's to shame.
Wow, that is definitely not what I got.
give me a couple months, I'll replace yours. You'll get the second ever made of.
You better,
this one.
dude. How much is that going for?
So I have.
I'll give you the fucking spent rounds if you need them.
Right. So this goes back into when I say technically interrupted. This is the first product I've ever had where there's actually demand out there, which surprised me that I couldn't keep up with production. So I was in grad school I was actually finishing grad school and internship the year that I had developed that product. So I was making them, Christmas time came around, and then I was selling out faster than I could make them. And I was like, oh my God, this is a beautiful problem. And then the next 4 years, the same thing happened because I realized working life was about the same, if not just as many excuses for other things to keep me busy. So,
how long does it take to make one of those?
I can do one in about 20 minutes. I make them in batches. So when you break them out, it's about 20 minutes per. I'll do step by step, not for this one, for the one you got. This one, I've only made this, so God knows
that's a limited edition right there.
Yeah. From the time I send you one to the time they're massively available will probably be 6 months plus.
Well, let me know, dude. I'll definitely get one of those, man. That's a really nice one.
But blessings to my mom, so as soon as I got orders to Korea, I had 4 weeks, give or take, which is ridiculous to figure out what I'm going to do with. I have a four bedroom house. What am I going to bring? What am I going to leave? Am I going to rent the house? All that kind of stuff. Am I going to see my parents before I leave? So I flew into Sacramento and went to go visit them. And my mom had just retired, and she said, I need a hobby. Teach me how to make these. So while I was in Korea, she made them because I couldn't make them there. I couldn't do jewelry because the army or the federal government is subsidizing the mail system there. So it's APO mailbox. It's for military. If I'm using that to make a business off of it, I mean, I've got ethics sometimes, right? So,
no, yeah, right.
That's not one I want to test.
Is it frowned upon?
As far as I know, it's absolutely illegal. Would I have ever been caught?
So I was about to say that's totally illegal because you're using taxpayers' dollars for your own business. So
because in essence, I'm shipping from Korea for the cost of shipping something like I'm in Long Beach.
Right.
And so
using taxpayers' dollars to do it.
Exactly.
I guess,
so
it's
a big red flag of like, this is.
If Beto was listening to this, I don't see no problem with that shit.
Shout out to Beto.
Oh man, that dude is funny as well. That dude is like, we need a raise, and then I'm over here looking at TikToks like, what you do? Army guys are like, what you do all day? Just eat Twizzlers and be on the sex all day. I'm like, okay. But anyways,
he's a better man for it. But I mean, so you're saying that your mom sort of, because that's what I was going to ask. Like next was like, you know, when the demand, like, or if the demand ever came up, you know, how would you keep up with it? But you got a little helper.
So right now is real time. So once I got back, I took over the mass production of them, and being out here. So I still can't get used to living on the East Coast. I don't know why I live out here, especially because you guys are on the West Coast. I can talk mad shit. Like, I bought a house and settled on the East Coast, and I still cannot articulate why I live out here. I enjoy it. I love it, but I still don't know why. So it's now winter, and I'm literally looking at the weather report a week out to figure out when I can make flags, because the adhesive has to be above 40 degrees. And we're now in the time where the next 3 days are the only days that are going to be above 40 for probably the next 2 months. So I'm like, as a low, obviously it's going to pick above. Oh my God, I would not live here if it stayed below 40. But,
I was wondering, dude, I was like, oh my God.
And that ties with the rush. So I'm selling a majority of them between November and December. So I made a mass amount as soon as I got back, and Amazon is incredible with their statistics, right? So their robots and their algorithms are smarter than I'll ever be. So their algorithm tells me to send X in, and I send 5 times what they tell me to send in, because I know their algorithm's biased by my dumbass running out of stock the last 4 years. So
actually, I want to talk about that too, because you know, that's some question that I always had and like kind of struggle on getting the research on, is like shipping and, you know, basically shipping, dealing with Amazon, dealing with eBay. Like how
I owe you like 10 episodes on that.
like, for what a basic overview, For you, what's an easiest way to be able to sell on Amazon, or what's the easiest way to sell on eBay, and how to ship?
So I'll try and keep this as short. Cut me off because I go on tangents. I started on eBay even I was probably still in high school. I was doing eBay with my dad on some of his products and learning that. So eBay was always the most familiar. The jewelry, I started learning Etsy, and both of those are you to the consumer. You're putting your pictures, you're putting your information, you're putting all your information. They see it, they decide, they buy it, you ship it. I learned a lot from the nuances of shipping, what the costs are, what the packaging sizes are, whether you charge the customer, whether you not. And then once it was before I started selling, actually right around the time I was selling flags, Amazon had launched this product called Amazon Handmade. So most people know what Etsy's.
Oh, okay.
I give them mad credit because
I know
they have survived, and it is impressive. I'd give whoever the leadership of them have done fantastic. But this is a couple years ago. They literally poached every single top Etsy seller, which I'm sure they have crawlers to figure
Amazon
out.
Handmade?
Yeah.
Okay.
And it's not that they pulled them away, but they pulled a portion of the business. So they sent invitations and I was not one of the top sellers, let me be clear. But the news trickled down and the little people got to hear about this. But they had directly contacted these top sellers, probably by seeing sales ranks and all this kind of stuff, and said, hey, we're launching a new product. Would you like to be one of our first sellers? And most Amazon sellers are paying a monthly subscription. So if you're selling Legos or whatever on Amazon, you're paying a monthly fee. And that's a barrier to entry. So for the handmade category, this is a product category Amazon is not associated with. Most people think of cheap, quick product, not always cheap, but quick products direct to you. So trying to have this human element to it was a gamble for them, but they offered zero fees to the sellers. They overnight pulled a massive amount of handmade products onto Amazon. And I'm sure it's still a problem for them to make sure, like I make jewelry, and screw me for this, but I literally will buy a jewelry charm from China, buy a chain from China, put the two together with a stainless steel link, and then sell it on a platform. I have not done it for a couple of years, but I have all the materials when I got time to put them back up. That to me is not handmade. By most people's standards, it's not handmade. To me, it's engineering. If I'm literally piecing things together,
you're piecing stuff together. Yeah.
Some of those platforms that qualifies as handmade, and some of them it doesn't, but it still skirts by because it's very hard to police that. So
right. How you gonna tell? Yeah, I mean, how you gonna tell somebody it's not handmade? I'm like, well, I use my hands to make it.
Right? Yeah, my hand put it in the envelope.
Right.
We heard Carl on the West Coast Initiative.
Yeah, I mean, I'm no lawyer, but I know, I know if we talk to Joseph Powers, shout out Joseph Powers, but talk to Joseph Powers, he'd probably say, yeah, man, like legally that could be handmade, because you did use your hands to make that product.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. But I see what you're talking about.
And it's them curating their environment too. So Etsy is the way I see Etsy is they are trying as hard as possible to stay relevant while maintaining that personal touch.
Exactly.
And that's what keeps them separate from these other ones. They have actually on the backside done a ton to do the opposite on the backside of, like, I'm not going to go too much into this, but you can partner on a drop shipping, like a t-shirt company, for instance.
Like Shopify?
No, like a literally a print shop where you are uploading so say you have a smiley face design that you somehow own the rights to.
Okay.
You upload that file onto this drop shipping company. They create a product, so they have the exact brand of t-shirt, and then you can put that on Etsy as long as you say they are your partner. Wow. They will print it, ship it, and get it to the customer, and all you did was upload a file and create a listing on Etsy. So on the backside, I'm looking at this as like they are doing the opposite of personal, but they have mastered the front facing piece to the consumer of still maintaining. And it is beautiful. It's on the consumer to see the difference between those two.
It's kind of amazing.
What
and like a lot of people don't know that, so that's fucking amazing.
was it Shopify kind of like that? I don't know if you know what Shopify is.
Yeah, so they just mastered the like in my opinion the like online shopping cart, like throw up a whether it's drop shipping or anything like that, like $29 a month you can put up whatever kind of website, no hassle.
Yeah. And so actually speaking of Shopify, can you explain what drop shipping is? Do you know what drop shipping is?
I've I had a couple of
Dabbled only
soldiers
with.
that
Oh,
did, yeah.
okay.
It's like selling shit that you
Yeah.
never touch, right? So
Yeah,
it's
it's basically you're selling. I get from what I understand, because I kind of researched a little bit about Shopify, because I was like I kind of wanted to see what was that about. So Shopify, from what I understand, is you basically create your own basically website. You buy a product from, let's say, is basically from China, mainly, and you basically create your own website. You advertise it. You pay an advertisement. You can even pay a video to get it advertised and stuff like that. People who want it, they go to that link of that website that you had just created. They buy it from there, and then the only thing is, I think it takes a while for you to get your product because it comes from China. So it does take a while for you to get it. But I've heard of people really being successful in drop shipping for sure. So that's why I kind of like when you were talking about drop shipping in the Etsy part, I thought it kind of like was familiar to the Shopify app.
So a lot of people don't realize Shopify is powering a lot of your kind of like more small local business where the cart may be a secondary thing. So like the merch is secondary to something else. So I've shut down.
Okay.
I've shut down probably 5 Shopifys just because, and this goes back to know what you're good at. And I try not to hype my failures as much. The reason I sell on Amazon and all those is because it works for my skill set and where I care to throw my energy into. I have no interest. I've tried for years and I have no interest in spending more time learning search engine optimization to make sure that my carlbarnes.com, which screw this dude who's owned that domain for 15, 20 years. I don't own that. I own plenty, but not that one. Shows up when you're trying to buy whatever from me.
Yeah.
And so for the flag, so like I owned bulletflags.com. That was one. I still own it. I do nothing with it, but I had put it up and I was like, okay, I'm selling on these other platforms. Let me put it up because I save a ton of money because I'm not paying the commission to the platform. And you quickly learn and appreciate the commission you pay to these platforms because I have no knowledge, no interest, and no skill apparently at learning how to rank and search, even when I've tested some very quickly failed paid search, like paid ad campaigns. And so over time, I'm like, my energy is better suited paying that commission to Etsy, paying that commission to Amazon, who has the customers, who knows how to get it to the customer. I'll do what I do better is making the product, figuring out how to keep it in stock, apparently.
So is it easier to sell on Amazon? It's a lot. It's like
they have the attention. They win for attention all day.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. It's like they're gonna have the audience. I was gonna say audience for some reason, but yeah, I mean that's where everybody goes.
Yeah.
So this might help you segue into the storage thing, but I had written, so for my selling, it was kind of eBay was first, Etsy got added on, and then the afterthought eventually was Amazon. Amazon, the year I introduced it used to be like 50-50 eBay, Etsy. The year I introduced Amazon, immediately became 70-75% of my sales.
Oh, wow.
I stopped keeping up with eBay. I stopped keeping up with Etsy. I was still using it. I just was not staying up with the latest trends and how do you keep it updated. So Amazon dominated. And then as I kind of went to Korea, I had to shut everything down. So I'm kind of in this, I hate it, but I'm back in this, I'm starting back kind of from scratch. I have the products, I know what I'm doing, but these are platforms with new rules from when I started. And so Amazon has been kind of the consistent one I've been able to know. But for the last 3 or 4 years, in my mind, which is not consistent with reality, eBay has been dying. eBay has not been dying. So once I started doing the storage stuff and selling, finally getting stuff back, eBay is that platform for this kind of niche type of items. I'm realizing there's still attention there.
That makes more sense.
Oh yeah, dude. Like,
definitely big time. I mean, I still go on eBay all the time. Shit.
Yeah, we honestly, everything
The
that
cards. Oh yeah.
yeah, dude, everything we've been, 'cause, you know, me, I'm a swap meet Grom now.
There you go.
You know, checking on stuff and stuff like that. Like for instance, this past weekend, I didn't find it. Neither did my fiance, but my mom found some Beanie Babies. Right, 4 Beanie Babies. There were some McDonald collection. She got for $1 each, dude. $1 each. We looked at the value, and this was from
Some old Beanie
1990,
Babies right now.
dude. It's from the 97, and I didn't even know they had like birth dates or whatever. But I guess they have birth dates because we're looking at behind the box. They were still in
Yeah.
their package. The only thing was that the packaging a little bit smushed on each box, like the plastic for sure. But we looked on the value, and like someone had them for 12 grand on eBay for all four. Someone else had them for 34 grand on eBay, and I'm like, dude, like it's kind of crazy that like, you know, selling at the swap meet was just like a side hustle, right? Now I'm starting to see that, like, you know what? There's junk at the swap meet that's just like people sell and don't even know what they're selling, and you're like, holy shit, I can make a buck from this. Like for instance, uh, it's over this weekend. I was talking to some collectors. I'm not gonna lie. I'm starting to talk to a few vendors there that are kind of like regulars now, you know, especially the toy ones because I've been collecting toys for the most part. And this dude was like showing me like, dude, like I just bought this toy for about $3. All I have to do is add a little sword, a little gun. I could sell this for $20, you know, just because it's a vintage toy. You know what I'm saying? And it's crazy. I was like, wow, like collecting is actually not that bad. Like I should have. That's when they got me pissed off when I threw away my Pokemon cards. And I was like,
Yeah.
when I saw the value on Pokemon cards, dude, I was like, oh my fucking god. You know what I'm saying? So it's a crazy thing. But speaking of, let's talk about, you know, storage right now because that's one of your biggest things, right? You have a podcast about buying storages and stuff like that. How does that work? How do
So
you get into it?
Yeah.
the TV show got
I
me
was
into it.
okay. I was just about to say that. I was just about to say. I think this one. I was like, I think I might be able to answer this one. TV shows, but go ahead.
I don't even know when that came out. I had to have, what was it, high school maybe?
Storage Wars. I
Yeah,
don't even
something like
remember.
that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, whenever that came out, so I'd watch it. I mean that fits everything, right? It's that kind of picker stuff. There's those other shows. It's that collecting. It's the hoarding. It's the business side of things. It's the value. It's like treasure. So I'd always been intrigued by it. Probably, I don't know which year it was, but one of the years I was in San Diego, I was interested enough. I actually went to an auction. It was probably one of my last years in San Diego. Went to an auction and just to witness it. And I was like, holy shit, this is exactly,
It's a real fucking thing.
yeah, exactly what you see. And when I say exactly, if you have any common sense in your bone, you know there's TV magic. So like exactly does not mean you walk in and you pull out the diamond ring. Exactly means you spend 7 hours digging through trash, and in that process you find the diamond ring.
Right.
And I was like,
Exactly.
these, and I didn't see the digging process, but I was like, they're cutting the lock, you witness it, people are bidding live, and I was like, holy cow, this is awesome. Never pursued it, but it was kind of just this.
So is that how it works? I haven't really, to be honest, I've never seen the show, and I don't know how
Okay.
auctioning and bidding of storages is. So how do you even hear about this? What are you even listening? Where like you know there's going to be an auction?
So essentially someone defaults on payment. Every state's got different rules, 3, 6, 9 months, whatever. They don't pay their bill. Everyone and their mother gets phone calls and letters letting them know, hey, if you don't do something, this will go to public auction. So that for me, the legal piece is the ethics that I feel removed enough from that person had enough
Right.
warning, and even in the sad situation, somebody passes away and they've done everything in their effort to try to reach next of kin, try to reach somebody that will claim the stuff. Then it goes to public auction. Pre-COVID days,
Wow.
it was kind of this, think of it as this like really awkward kept secret. So the storage facility has no interest in marketing this wide because they don't need to advertise that they sell their tenants shit. but they're legally obligated to advertise it. So it's one of those, like, we put an ad in the newspaper, it's done. So there's like online websites who aggregate that info, who have full-time people who call and create these lists. I don't advocate for any of those because I had paid $10 for 1 month $10 a month for a few months, and half of them were garbage. Like, I could have called my local facilities and gotten my own list, because we drove 40 minutes and showed up to one that had been canceled, and it was verified. Oh, wow. It was verified by the site 5 minutes before. So that's how people used to find them. The real pros, it was word of mouth. They knew the auctioneers and all that. COVID times, it's all online now. So the auction actually occurs online. Yeah.
Oh, really?
So it's like bidding on something on eBay.
So it's on Zoom? You go on Zoom, or how does that?
So this is the sketch. So when I came, my first one I ever bought was before I left for Korea. And this was kind of like a last hurrah. It was very terrible. I knew I would love it, and I knew I was not sticking around. So I knew it was going to be gnawing at me. So we bought one, or me and two friends, we went and we're like, we had all seen the show. We loved it. We're like, hey, let's go do this. And we drove to Virginia. So out here, states are not like California. I can drive 15 minutes and be in like three different states.
It's all close by. Yeah.
Like DC is right there. Virginia, like as I go into DC and I'm on like an on-ramp, it'll be like, welcome to Virginia, welcome to DC, welcome back to Virginia, welcome to Maryland, welcome to...
Yeah.
So we're in Virginia, and it was 2 locations we went to, and they had like 5 units at each one. So the first one, we were trigger happy. The 3 of us had this fucking sign language thing going on. So my buddy Jimmy, who I do it with now, was there with us, and then another friend, and then there was only 3 other people bidding. So the first one had a bunch of tools. We saw a couple Husky toolboxes and some other things. We're like, hey, let's go up to, I think we want to go $200 something, which now what we're doing, it's insane how cheap that went. But so Jimmy started and was bidding against this other guy who happened to be another Hispanic dude named Jimmy, which I don't know what the odds of that are. So it was the battle of the Jimmys. And the other Jimmy had said $200 as they went back and forth, but the auctioneer didn't hear. And after he didn't hear, he never reiterated it. And so, so Jimmy was at like, and he had jumped several. So Jimmy was at like 150. So he had realized the auctioneer didn't hear, and he's like, okay, 180 or something. And then, so that's where Jimmy signaled me. I jumped in. I was like 200, closed. The dude didn't outbid us, and we got it. And then we ended up buying one garbage one. And then we actually bought one that literally just had a couch in it, which to this day I have a 3-piece, like a $1,200 3-piece sectional upstairs, or not sectional, but 3-piece couch set, love seat set. We got for $15 because we already had the truck and nobody wanted to haul the shit. So $15 for.
So you got it for $15 that whole thing, and you can sell it for how much?
So it was $1,200 retail, which we couldn't have sold it for that.
Yeah, you can. No, not a retail.
Of course.
And to this day, we suck at furniture. I don't know shit about furniture, but I think that's, to me, every time someone comes in and we're talking about storage, I'm like, that shit you're sitting on right now, we bought for $15.
So what have been some interesting finds that you guys have found in storages?
So we love books. I never thought I'd love books. I mean, I love books. I love reading. Never thought I'd love volumes of books. So I'm dead right now. We just spent the last 2 days. We hit a personal record. We bought a 20-foot by 40-foot locker, 800 square feet, which is, I didn't even know they made storage lockers that big. Yeah. Dude was paying like $1,000 a month. It's probably like $4,000 in California dollars, but $1,000 a month for rent.
Holy shit.
It's like a double wide garage.
Hold on. I think Matt.
Oh yeah.
That's like, no wonder he was like, no wonder he was like in that one little pose for a minute. I was like, he's in a weird pose.
Yo, cut me off. I'll talk all fucking day on this shit. So cut me off if I'm ranting.
No, you're good. Hey, Matt.
This is like such like a COVID thing. Like, I remember like that stuff.
Matt, we can't see you, or and you're cutting off a little bit.
Actually,
There
just
we
sold.
There we go.
Just sold some shit on eBay.
You just sold something on eBay?
Yeah.
Oh wow.
I don't even know what.
So
Find out.
so what were we saying? What were some interesting finds that you found in storages?
So to highlight some items, like we've been stoked on books, which we're big on this week. Historic, we found a bunch of like vintage handbags. I'm not good with fashion, but we found more Gucci than I've ever seen in my life. We found some Louis Vuitton.
Fucking hit me up.
Hit me up on the Gucci.
Hit me up, dog.
Most are very feminine handbags.
God.
I don't know your fashion style.
Oh, never mind.
But they're perfect items for gifting to a lady. But
yeah,
we found fake shit too. So we found some real Louis Vuitton sneakers, which I'm not gonna lie. If like I don't know sneakers. My buddy Jimmy's a sneakerhead, so he's got every Jordan known to man. He collects them. Like the ones he wears, he'll be like, the last time I wore these was November 22nd, 2012. I'm like, how do you know that?
That's how I am.
Right. So, but to me, that's huge value because that's some shit I'll never know.
yeah.
But we're digging through this stuff, and I've got this white sneaker, and we both passed it through our hands and threw it into the donate pile because we're sorting shit. I grab it one more time. I'm like, that looks like an L and a V. Let me research this real quick. They were $1,200 retail Louis Vuitton sneakers. Discontinued. They release one like style a year, and I was like, nobody in their right mind spends $1,200 on sneakers. The internet told me people do.
Oh,
it's crazy.
They do. Trust me.
Yeah.
And this goes back to retail versus resale. So we ended up selling them for $600. We were going to hold out for $500. We got $600 for them. Took us 3 months.
Wow.
But sneakers take up almost no space in the house, and then when it's worth that much money, I'll make space all day.
How much was the storage? That one storage?
It's our cheapest one ever. We bought that one for $50.
Wow. $600.
So that one was literally 2 boxes and 1 piece of luggage. And this was the only one during COVID that we went to in person before the online stuff. So I had been back for just about 2 weeks. I got back from Korea, 2 weeks. We bought our first locker, and they hit us with, "Hey, this is our first one during COVID. Only 1 person per group can go in, but we will waive our video rules. Normally you can't photograph." So I'm video chatting Jimmy on WhatsApp because that was the best connection I knew, and there was a pair of Jordans on top, and I was like, I need your assessment on this because I see is the Nike check, and it cut out. So he saw he heard me say Nike, and that was it. So we're like, all right, let's go for like $70 or something on it, and we won it. Because there's 3 boxes, we're throwing $70 away on maybe a $20 pair of shoes, worst case. So it ended up being that suitcase had a $600 pair of shoes. So
damn, dude.
Fuck, dude, that's crazy.
5 months later, we drop $1,000 on a 200 square foot locker that we probably wasted more money and time than anything we ever did. So
why'd you go so high?
I mean,
it's opportunity. It's what you see,
of course
for us, it's volume and frequency, and we're still trying to find that balance because it is it's mystery. We are this is filling. I don't think I have that addictive like gambler person. I wasn't at VHS every weekend. I know you were there every couple days.
I was there because I worked there.
Right. I was not one of your frequent customers. But
this is kind of satisfies that I don't know, thing in your brain. I mean, you know what I mean? Like everybody takes a risk somehow. You know what I mean?
And we're able to do it
whether you like it or not, whether you know it or not. And that's like an awesome way to fucking do it.
The way we talk about this a lot, and Jimmy and I have a lot of banter. Cause, I mean, we have dozens of hours of digging through stuff together, so we have lots of discussion of this. But the big thing for me is the reason it's different from regular gambling for me is, so say we go, say $1,000, say we do something that is normally seen as a huge risk, huge gamble, $1,000 in this large locker, because we saw a couple things that are like outdoorsy and we're hoping for a bunch of camping or fishing or outdoor stuff that would justify the price. And that, for us, we know even if we swing and miss, we can still hustle some value out of it, even if it's trash. Like, we have enough knowledge and skill to turn a few things on, offer up on let go doesn't exist anymore, and all that kind of stuff. So and mostly eBay.
Well, let go is now part of OfferUp, right?
I don't know who, I guess OfferUp bought let go.
Yeah, OfferUp bought them out. But yeah, dude, I mean, I'm not gonna lie, that it's a side hustle that not many people dabble into.
We got to try it, Alex. We got to try it.
I'm already trying at the swap meet, bro. You got to come with me at the swap meet and sell.
So Jimmy and I are gonna, courtesy of Alex's recommendation. So we were teasing doing it later, but sooner the better. We're gonna release like 6. I don't know. I could talk about shipping for like 6 hours. So we're gonna do like a shipping episode, an eBay episode, a Poshmark, all that, to kind of, we're not experts, but kind of talk through like, hey, we didn't know anything on Poshmark, and I'm selling vintage clothes on a site that is dominated by women who wear vintage clothes, and I knew nothing about this stuff. Like, just put yourself out there and try it. Jeff Bezos made Amazon out of selling books 25 years ago. Our biggest item right now is we're selling dozens. We sold over 100 books over the last couple of months. We still don't know how to count them. So this week we bought that 800 square
books are
feet.
a big seller.
The right type of books.
Oh, wow.
I would say the right kind of books. For sure.
My best guess is I have 10,000 books upstairs right now that we have to sort through.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's like 700 cubic feet. I love numbers and stuff, so I'm trying to figure out like how much shit do I actually have on my carport right now.
You got more than Barnes and Noble.
Yeah. So my last name's Barnes, right?
Yeah, true.
So we keep joking. So it's Barnes and Bargus because
that's so funny. I didn't even think about that.
That's a good one. That's a good one, actually.
What were you gonna say, Matt?
No, I was gonna say like so. What was I gonna say? Oh, I was gonna say so like when you get the stuff, so I'll put it like this. From here on, like when you open a locker, I guess, right? Are you gonna like talk about it on your podcast? Are you gonna like tease about it, or are you just gonna like sell the stuff first and then talk about it on your podcast? I mean, how does that kind of work out?
All of the above. So we're still trying to figure out the flow. So we started as just kind of, it was to keep ourselves accountable, right? Let's put it out there. If someone finds enjoyment out of it, great for them. We appreciate that. But it's more of like, let's keep ourselves accountable by keeping ourselves to a schedule for something, because both of us suck at keeping ourselves to a schedule. So it was a check and balance.
Tell me about it.
So it started with that. And then we were kind of like, all right, we're not going to make it sales heavy, because that's just too fake for me. If all it is buy this, buy this, buy this, it's no value for me. So it was kind of a walk through the process, or here's updates of what we did, because there's value in that. So now I guess we're leaning more into the process of let's talk through, because it's easy for us to like in 30 minutes we can talk about here's all the stuff we did this week, and probably, and Alex would probably say like, and that doesn't even tell you anything about the actual detailed nuance of how we came about. Like, how did we sort through the stuff? How did we decide what we're keeping? Like, so I'm running on a few hours of sleep. So we crushed this 800 square feet.
Yeah. What do you do with the stuff that you don't want to keep?
So mostly the dump and thrift stores are two big ones. Okay. So there's a big piece there of, okay, space is a huge thing. So we use my house. We don't have garages out here. Like almost nobody has garages, even though we have crazy weather. So I have this like carport, which I think I'm the scummiest one in the neighborhood, because every 2 weeks I got like more trash loaded up on the carport with a U-Haul in the driveway. But
they're like, damn, this dude is cooking meth and he's a hoarder.
my neighbors across the street, bless them, but like I came back from Korea. They hadn't seen me for a year, and now they see a U-Haul in the driveway, and then they see a U-Haul in the driveway every 2 weeks for like 4 months. I swear they asked me 8
Oh,
times,
God.
are you moving? Are you moving? So to me, I'm like, they want me to move. Like,
And you
Tell them to
explained
listen to
it.
your podcast.
I know, bro.
Yeah, fucking.
the next door neighbors, they love it. Like my front door is on the side and it faces the other neighbor's front door.
Mhm.
And they're both like, one of them still works, the other one's retired, and he's out there smoking and reading his books every day. They love seeing what we go through. So
Oh, really?
at least they're on board with it.
Hey, man, if you already know, dude, if
That's
you
dope.
happen to come across any Pokemon cards, you better send
Oh, yeah.
them my way.
We're looking out for the toy. You're gonna be fighting Jimmy for the toys, but the Pokemon cards, I think we'll both. I'm still looking for. So I got big. I was telling you, I got big into sports cards while I was in Korea because for me, I lost.
Sport cards are coming back big, dude. Sports cards are coming back really
The cards
big.
are like making a weird comeback.
Yeah,
I
they are.
lost like my tactile, if you will, like that hands-on kind of thing. The jewelry making for me is this very therapeutic kind of, like, I'm able to zone out and do something that's almost mindless because I've trained myself to go through the process. The jewelry, the flags, all that is keeping my hands busy. I got to Korea for a year and I can't do any of that. And I don't know if I got antsy, but I was definitely feeling something was missing. So obviously there's money involved, but I started buying packs of cards. I bought a ton of KBO cards while I was out there because they're cheaper.
Really? That's
Yeah.
fucking dope.
So I was doing both. Like, I was opening cards, but I was buying investment ones. So like, I had bought my first Kawhi rookie Leonard. Like, I'm a huge Kawhi fan because he went to SCSU, right? The same year I moved to San Antonio, he went to the Spurs. So I was like, if there's anyone I'm going to follow in their basketball career, like, I don't even have a team.
It's Kawhi. Yeah, it's Kawhi Leonard.
I went to Kings games as a kid. I don't have a basketball team.
Oh, God, I'm sorry about that, by the way.
So,
Thanks.
but yeah, so if we find those, I'll hit you up for sure.
Hell yeah. I mean, it's weird because I'll see sometimes sports cards at the swap meet, and then I'll ask him, like, how much are you selling them? He's like this dude over the weekend, he's like, $300 for the binder. The binder's worth $500 or something like that. I really don't know even how to evaluate, to be honest, to know how if he's really going to be a deal or not. And it's kind of weird because I feel like, in a way, Gary V, I'm pretty sure you know who Gary V is. Gary Vaynerchuk has really brought that upon, like, that baseball cards are coming back in a really big one. Not just baseball cards, sports cards, and I think all types of cards now, to be honest. I just went to Target yesterday and
you can't get them.
What's up?
You can't get them.
What, cards? No, you can't get cards. Like, it's kind of crazy. Like, it's they have a sign now where it says, for such high demand on cards, you're only allowed for one of any type of cards.
People are bribing. So
Wow.
it's third parties that stock them. It's not Target and Walmart employees.
Yeah.
People pay the distributors to get a text when they're showing up. So selling them out the back of the truck is the worst thing they could do. But texting someone when you're about to load them on the shelf, is that ethically gray area of like, hey, I didn't sell them out of the back of my truck. I did my job and I loaded them on the shelf. Jimmy showed up to Target one day and he called me one morning. I woke up to this. It was like 7 a.m. He's like, hey, I'm at Target. And he sent me a picture. He's like, are these good? And it was the newest football cards. It was like 4 months ago. And I was like, I was like, because I keep up with most of this. I was like, you need to buy every fucking single one of those right now. But he's on the phone. He's talking to someone. He's talking to the distributor. And the distributor's like, well, here's my number. I can let you know what products you're looking for. I can let you know when I'm coming to that store. I was like, no wonder you can't find this stuff. 12 people are getting a text when it's hitting the shelf. And
yeah.
That is fucking crazy.
You can cut this,
well,
okay.
No, I was just say if you get any like real bougie shit, let me know, like the handbags.
Oh yeah, I'll send you guys some photos. I've got like 15 vintage handbags that are like, they're gonna be sitting around for a while.
What crazy,
dude? Yeah, send me the shit.
One find that I found.
A lot of women in my family.
One find that I found at the Swami one time, not too long ago, was this baseball signed by, I don't know who, I'm not big on baseball, but I guess he's a Hall of Famer. He used to play with the Yankees and Padres. Goose, I don't know if you guys know him. His last name is Goose. 2008. But anyways, we looked him up, and if it's legit, which kind of sucks, I don't know how to get to see if it's legit, it's worth like 150. You know,
Mm-hmm.
and you know, I told my fiance, well, it's just $10. Like, if I lose $10, I just lose $10. But if I don't, I win. You know, 140 or 100 off of it.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? It's like that risk. Those are the calculated risks that you should be taking.
Right.
You know, like if it's a low cost, but if it's a high reward, fuck it, why not? Right.
And it's knowing if you're the first one there, you
Yeah.
know, if you're right, the next person behind you is going to buy that for 10 on the spot. So
yeah. So like, do you guys like have a specific, I mean, like a specific place where you advertise? Like, where can our listeners, you know, like look out for your stuff?
So we just did, I hate social media. I don't hate it. I just am very bad at it. So we just started an Instagram.
Embrace it, bro.
Me too. Don't worry about it.
I'm embracing it. So we started Instagram.
I gotta get myself an Instagram. Damn it!
Man, I stopped telling you to say.
I know, man. I've been saying I'm gonna get Instagram this weekend for the last 8 months.
Dude, that's what we've been promoting our podcast.
my professional networking, like my dietitian shit, is like up here, and my Instagram. Even though my Instagram is tied to like professionalism, my personal one, like I don't care. I've got like a couple hundred people on there. Like I'm not trying to build a brand on Instagram, and that's just the choice I made. But so for this stuff, I'm not hoping to get huge. So we're on a One Man's Trash podcast with the underscores between them. And so what we're going to get better with this time, and we're getting incredibly better with everything we practice. So just listing the kind of unique things and the fun stuff we find.
Yeah.
Not necessarily using that to sell everything, but primarily to show off the kind of stuff we're finding. Secondary, if somebody's trying to hit us up for something, if it's not already sold somewhere else. So,
all right, Carl, we're hitting that. We've been having a good talk for a good while. So
I know, man. It's good catching up with you, man.
We might have to do a second episode with you pretty soon.
Dude, I'm honestly like super excited to like find what you like. I'm serious, bro. Like,
let's buy a store.
Talk after this, but
let's buy a store. Yeah. Let's
do it.
Okay, yeah. Well, okay. We'll do that. We'll do that.
We'll coach you so you guys don't fuck up and get you.
Yeah,
good.
I mean, dude, you know me. I'm down for it. If it's, I'm down about finding like good finds. You know what I'm saying?
I'll tell you the one that will inspire you to buy one. So we dropped like $900 on one. It looked just packed. So we're like, all right, this will be good. The thing we ended up listing last, we didn't even this is 3 months after we bought all the shit. It was a bunch of Boy Scout patches. I've never been a Boy Scout. I don't know shit about the Boy Scouts. They were from the 1950s. We looked it up on eBay. Some were several $100s and some were like 2 pennies. So we're like, let's put it as an auction and see what they're worth. Because there's plenty of people knowing what they're worth. So we're going to let them decide.
Of course.
$1,000 later, we have our best selling item and it fit in the size of a fucking envelope. So I'm like,
wow.
How much?
$1,000 for like 23 of these like patches. So like they're like military patches, but they're like Boy Scout things. Yeah.
And
so it's like
just one item from that storage. Oh wow.
Yeah, it's like 1954 Jamboree, and boom.
I'm weirdly into. I used to be like weirdly into patches. I was like a kind of a high school thing, kind of sort of, but I'm like really into patches. Like on my computer right now, like I have a couple like websites saved for patches.
For patches,
Really?
nice.
Patches are fucking awesome. They're
It's like that
awesome.
travel meets militaria meets all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's interesting. Interesting.
Well, anyways,
but yeah. Hopefully that inspires you guys to.
I mean, shoot, maybe we'll get into an auction pretty soon, dude. Let us know how to find one and whatnot.
I'll give you my 10-step program after.
So where can people hear your podcast? I know I listen to Spotify. Is it also like on Anchor, iTunes?
Yeah. So we push it out through Anchor, so it's on iTunes, on Spotify, on Pocket Cast, all the Google ones, and then we're doing yeah. So we're doing like you guys. We're doing YouTube. I actually filming. This is my bar in my basement.
Yeah, I remember seeing that actually.
We have basements in East Coast here. So we film it down here, and then we'll kind of like.
Well, we have garages.
Really want one of those. We'll decorate the set with it. Yeah. I'm getting new siding next month. I don't want stucco. But yeah, on that we'll decorate the bar with the items that we found that week, or we usually buy every 2 weeks, so like shit you haven't seen, and then we'll talk about stuff. So YouTube's my favorite. I use Spotify for certain things, and I use YouTube for others. So this content, I think YouTube's better.
Definitely.
I wish we could have gone into the other podcast.
And your
I wish we could have gone into the other podcast, but
fuck.
Like I said,
I swear I'm a dietitian. I swear I'm a dietitian.
No, that's no. It's better that we didn't, because that's another episode.
It's true.
Yeah, that's true. That's another episode, honestly. Say that
Trash Carl and dietitian Carl.
And then we still got to talk about that whole shipping one that you said takes like about 10 episodes.
But we're gonna start recording that next week.
Yeah, and we'll have you back on here again. I want to say this month. Next month is also a little bit booked too. Which thank you guys, for all the support that anybody who's listening and all the guests all the guests who has been listening and are supporting us as well. We're still growing and continuing. We're booked all the way through January, to be honest.
Awesome.
Well, actually halfway through January. Matt got us booked with the Random Goal podcast. We have Velocity Paintball next month, and Jesse, I forgot his last name, but he went to SBA with us, videographer, director, really doing a lot of stuff for the community too. He's doing a lot of stuff. And dude, it's kind of cool having you on.
Cool. We got a lot of good shit planned.
Yeah, learning from the storage side, your entrepreneurial side of selling on Amazon, the bullet casings. You got to let me know when you're going to make more of the big one, dude. I'll definitely get one of those for sure.
It may be this week. I got the temperature this weekend. If I need a break from the books, I'll get it. And the best news, I can listen to this podcast while I'm doing the books and while I'm doing the flag stuff. So
you
that's a win-win,
dude. Because we're about to hit our 30th podcast pretty soon.
You guys are crushing it.
Yeah, I think this is our
Thank you, man.
28th, and then the next one will be our 29th, and then we're gonna finish off the year with me and Matt having our own podcast, and then we'll ride on into January, starting off the new year with a new guest and whatnot. So, but yeah, thank you, Carl, so much for coming on, dude. It was really fun. I know it's late in the East Coast. It's 9.
I know, man. Thanks for hanging around for us.
I know, dude.
Absolutely. It's an honor. I appreciate you guys having me.
No, yeah, dude, it's fun, dude. It's good catching up with you, seeing what you've been up to and all that, and
Hey, after our first storage locker, we got to be on your podcast.
I know, right?
Fuck yeah, hell yeah,
fuck yeah, dude. Yeah. So we can tell everybody about how well or how horrible we did.
All right. So let's not record the training session then. So we're
no. We'll skip right to the good stuff.
Yeah. Oh my god. All right, guys. Also one thing, where can people follow you? I know you're not big on social media, but where can people follow you if they do have questions about storages or anything like that?
So all my professional stuff is LinkedIn, and my personal Instagram, you can find me probably LinkedIn easier. Carl Barnes. That comes up immediately. For all the podcast stuff, One Man's Trash podcast. Make sure you put that at the end. It'll show up in most search results now that we have a little bit of traction. That'll show up there. And then, I'll talk about the dietitian stuff another time.
Yeah, your main career.
I got like
the important shit, saving lives.
Yeah, I got like 14 different emails. So if anyone's really dying, hit up Matt, hit up Matt, hit up Alex. They can put you in touch with me directly. We'll negotiate some personal coaching shit.
Oh hell yeah, man. Oh man.
All right, then, Carl. Any last words from you, Matt?
No, man. I just want to say again, thanks, man. Like I said, for sure, for sticking up with us. I know over there it's like a little bit later, so just thanks for hanging around, and again, just thanks for being open. You know what I mean, and honest, and expressing some things that maybe you wouldn't normally express. You know what I mean? Like I said, that's kind of what we strive for here.
Yeah, this podcast was interesting.
I really appreciate that, man, and.
Oh, sorry, Matt. I didn't mean to cut you off. You kind of cut off. So
No.
No, I was gonna say this podcast was definitely interesting because we definitely there were some questions that we usually ask that we didn't really get to ask, but it was still fun. Don't get me wrong, it was a lot of fun and a lot of learning curves, right? Because I was definitely interested in the whole storage part, and your story is honestly like, you go from different places, right? Like not like you're not just a hustler. You serve our country. You're big in nutrition as 100%. Well. I know we didn't dabble into that, but you are big on nutrition, even though you say you yourself is not a big like nutrition junkie or anything like that. But you do focus on that because you do something on podcast level with it as well.
Hugely passionate, just not an extreme. Yeah. And I don't show it all the time. That's a good point.
Yeah, and it's cool to let people know that that they can do their own work, that they can do their own packaging, they can do their own Amazon sales, eBay. People who have listened or who have ever thought about selling in those avenues that we haven't talked about or dabbed about, or even buying the storage. Honestly, people who probably never even thought about buying the storage and what they could find in there, especially right now with the everybody can need a little side hustle. You know what I'm saying? And it's kind of cool.
Perfect social distance hobby, I swear. Like you're digging through trash away from people.
That's true. But yeah, dude, thank you for coming on the show.
Thanks, man. And thank you for your service.
Yeah, thank you.
I didn't say that earlier, but thank you for your service, man. Really appreciate that, man.
Yeah, man. Appreciate it so much. And all right, guys. This was a fun episode, and you guys here, you guys can reach out to Carl by hitting us up, of course.
I gotta drive the traffic back to you.
I know, right? Thanks, man.
Only if you're dying, you can hit us up.
Yeah. All right, guys. We'll catch you guys on the next episode, guys. Later.
Yeah, catch you guys later.